7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now live.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield. Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Westfield Bank. For more than 160 years, Westfield Bank has been an important community presence and commercial leader in the Pioneer Valley. With convenient full banking services in Westfield, West Springfield, East Longmeadow, Agawam, Feeding Hills, Springfield, Southwick, as well as Enfield and Granby, Connecticut, visit us on the web at westfieldbank.org.
We're now about to go live.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:01. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield Masses and WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and I am in the studio this morning with very sleepy chairman of the board, Pete Coles. Good morning, Pete.
Planning board was a little late last night.
Oh, my goodness.
I think it went to like 9:15, and by the time I got out of home, and it was like 10:30.
I know. And, then it's hard to unwind, and then you're starting to feel like, okay, I know I have to get up early, so I really need to be sleepy to go to bed to get a good night's sleep.
Oh, no, I was already exhausted.
You were? Okay.
Yeah,
so
I fell asleep in the recliner trying to unwind, and then I woke up and went to bed, and woke up and I'm like, my alarm's really going off?
Okay.
Really?
Okay. Well,
you know
good.
about that
so
kind of a morning?
Yeah. So yeah. Well, the problem with me was that for once I went to bed at a decent hour on the night before, the show, and I thought, oh, this is great. And the problem was I wasn't tired, and then the brain chatter started, and I've got
that's even worse.
All kinds of stuff going on in my life right now, and so I was trying to solve all of the world's problems and all of my own issues, and I kept saying, Tina, don't even look at the clock because, it's, you're just going to be going on fumes tomorrow, which is kind of what I'm doing. But, luckily I'm a morning person. So
I'm looking at the weather for Friday going, I don't, hey, maybe I'll take Friday off.
You know what? Thank you for doing that because I was listening to that on the way over here and I thought, ooh, I need to talk to my kitchen staff and we need to think about this. So what are you reading over there, Pete? Because I was hearing like yucky,
the way I look at the
mixy
timing
stuff.
is it's going to start raining, and as the temperature drops, it's going to turn to sleet and freezing rain, and then it's going to end as snow as the temperature really drops through the day on Friday.
Oh, jeez.
But it just looks to me, so now you got all this rain, like an inch of rain overnight, and then it's going to freeze, and it's going to freezing rain and probably flash freeze, and then you come into snow on the end, and right now it doesn't look good.
Boy, I'm right there with you, Pete.
Let me just say that. It doesn't look good.
Let's just look at the calendar and see if we can just, roll over and go
listen,
to bed.
I was in Florida. They blame me for bringing the winter, so.
So how was Florida? Let's talk about your trip. You went down to, did you get to see any space stuff?
No, it was disappointing.
Oh.
The first 2 days, the weather.
Canceled. Oh, yeah.
First 2 days, the weather was bad. Well, first 3 days. Thursday, the weather was bad, so we drove an hour. What we should have done is rebooked our hotel to Cocoa Beach if we were going to try to catch a launch. But it's an hour and a half each way back and forth to Fort Pierce. So
right.
It's a haul.
Yeah.
But we, now we're up there, invested. We got the spot, great spot. We could see the rocket with our naked eyes.
Oh.
So back and forth every day, and it kind of consumed the whole vacation. We did see some beautiful towns and stuff passing through on the different routes we took each day.
And what did they postponed them just because of
right? So
weather?
it's 4 times they tried to launch this thing. So we went Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And each day they scrubbed for weather. And then Sunday I was going to try to talk Christy into staying. And we had perfect weather. I mean, perfect weather.
Okay.
And the launches was at sunset, and I knew it was going to be spectacular, right? And I finally said, I can't afford to stay down here, whatever. And they scrubbed due to a cruise ship going in the warning area.
Oh, my goodness.
Symphony of the Seas.
It is so good you didn't spend the money and stay.
Right, so they finally launched Monday, and the pictures were spectacular.
Oh, that's disappointing.
My friend Naomi, who husband works for SpaceX, she saw it from her yard. And the video she put up on Facebook was the video just from a phone was spectacular.
Oh, that's disappointing.
I was like, oh.
Yeah.
My mother's like, well, there are going to be other launches. I'm like, Mom, this was like one of those ones where everything lines up and you knew that the photos would be beautiful.
Right place, right time.
Oh, my God. The video from SpaceX, if you go look on the web, the lighting was so good that the guy on the telescope camera was able to track like literally stuff that you normally don't see.
Oh.
Like with the naked eye, you could see the separation of the rocket from the first stage and second stage. It was like,
I know.
Somebody just shoot me.
No, I know. That's disappointing.
Somebody shoot me.
So
otherwise, it was good. We had a good time. We saw some sights with downtown Fort Pierce. We kind of did a little exploring. Met up with some of my friends that work down there from Babe Ruth.
Oh, nice. Oh, yeah,
some
that's
of the parks,
right nice.
Some of the parks guys. We went to breakfast with one of the superintendents, and we met up with one of the other ones. Because on the way in, we were just passing by, and it was like, I call him, and he's like, I'm like, where are you? He goes, I'm in my office. I'm like, I'm in your park. He goes, no way. He goes, what are you, like, unannounced.
Yeah.
And he came over and chatted with us, and I checked some of the gear. So.
Oh, how fun.
Yeah, so we did do some fun stuff. My girlfriend loves looking at beaches and the water, and so we stopped at a lot of beaches on the way through and night drives and stuff.
So what was the temperature actually like down there, Pete?
First couple days when it was rainy in the upper 60s, low 70s, and then they had their 3 days of winter. So it was like 45 on Saturday, and then it was like 40 on Sunday. Mm-hmm. And it was cold on Monday, I guess, too.
Yeah.
But there was. I posted a picture on my Facebook that WINK down there said, "Okay, we've survived our 3 days of winter."
Yeah.
And so Kenny's down there now. He had one cold day on Monday, and then it's going to be in the 80s the rest of the time. I'm like, really?
Yeah, I know.
You suck, Kenny.
I know. I don't like you.
I don't like that word "suck," but you suck, Kenny.
Oh, but you know what? It's nice. It's nice that he
and
was
superintendent's
able to get away.
down there too.
Oh, good.
I think he's down in South Florida.
Okay.
He needed to get away too.
Yeah. I think we all need to get away.
You need to get away.
I
You
do need to get away.
Yes.
No doubt about
Go
that.
somewhere. Take a week off.
Oh, my goodness.
I'll talk to the mayor.
Crazy.
Have him kick you out for a while.
It's been crazy.
Tina, you need to go on vacation.
I do need to go on vacation. All right, so let's do a what did I do this weekend? Let me think about this. Well, football, that was great. So I
watch those on the plane.
Did you? Well, you know what? James Jordan, who's of course works in veteran services, and I are huge sports fans, and Gary, of course. So, Jay was in my office on Monday morning before 8:15 to, we got to talk about the two games. We got to talk about who's going to the Super Bowl. And again, it was just so fun that we really had 6 playoff games that were all nail-biter games. I mean, they were all good games, and usually you get some games during playoffs that are just blowouts, and by halftime,
some of them look to be blowouts at halftime.
Yes, they did. But those of us who hung in there kind of went, "Wait a minute, we got a game here." So, so Cincinnati versus LA for the Super Bowl. Of course, it's going to be in LA, just like last year it was in Tampa Bay, and Tampa Bay was in the game. But I don't know. I think a lot of people are rooting for that little cutie pie quarterback from Cincinnati, Joe Burrows, and that kicker, McPherson, from Cincinnati. And he's got an unbelievable history. Gary Googled him, and he had his high school career. He kicked a 60-yard field goal when he was in high school. In high school.
That doesn't surprise me.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
That is just so cool. So anyway, good football. Spent, obviously some time at the senior center this week getting I had all of these January 31st deadlines. I had 4 major deadlines for end of year reports that had to be in for the state, and my budget had to be in, my newsletter had to be done. And I'm happy to report that as of Sunday evening when I left the senior center, everything was done, everything was in. I just felt like this huge weight off of my shoulders because it's been a really stressful January trying to get all this stuff done. Some of those reports for the state, like people have no idea how many hours and hours that stuff takes.
Yeah.
It's just, endless. You have to go back over a whole year of statistics and narratives and what did you do and what didn't you do and how many
Speaking
people
of what
did you
didn't
serve?
I do, I need to apologize to all the seniors. I had a brain fart on February 1st.
Okay.
Because I schedule stuff month to month.
Yep.
All the programs and stuff, and I try to vary them up. And then for some reason on Tuesday, my brain just went, and I just didn't schedule anything that day. Like, I didn't schedule any programming.
Okay.
I must have got distracted or something, and then just, the day gets away from you. And I apologize to everybody.
Okay.
I made good on the afternoon stuff, but the morning stuff, and then
Not
for
so
some
much.
reason, I didn't even upload the text to 911 to the playback system. It was like, I don't know. I think I had vacation.
Brain wasn't going.
Yeah.
You know what?
It's all fixed now, but
And you know what? We've all been there, Pete.
oh my God.
Some of us are there now, so believe me, I totally get it. I can't believe some of the things that I'm forgetting these days, and it's just like to me major things, and all of a sudden you're going, oh my gosh.
That's when you know you need a break.
I know. Yeah, I know.
I got 5 weeks of vacation I still got to use. Maybe I'll take some more time off.
Yeah. Yep. I know.
Seriously, I got to use a lot of vacation
I know.
before the end of the
I
year.
think a lot of people do. You know,
And
it's
you
been hard
can't-
because travel has been hard. So it's not
Really?
like
Travel wasn't bad.
no.
No.
It was good for you.
Yeah, it wasn't bad at all. Security lines weren't bad.
Well, I think at this
planes
time of the
weren't
year, I mean,
bad.
I think right now things are probably a whole lot better.
Both my planes were full.
Good.
Or all my planes were full.
Good.
So,
Okay.
yeah, traveling's back.
Good enough. Kind of back to where it should be. All the
There aren't as
weren't
many
a lot
flights.
That's what I was going to say. Were there a lot of flights canceled, but just not
No,
as
no,
many?
no. There's just the airlines have cut back scheduling.
Yeah.
But so they're trying to maximize butts and seats.
Yep. Well, it's the bottom line. It's
And
the
reading
dollar
about the
and they're-
safety of a plane, if
Yep.
you're worried about COVID,
Yep.
they put HEPA filters in. And I've noticed that because the volume of air coming out of those little nozzles over your head
Yep.
is about a quarter of what it used to be. So there are HEPA filters in there now, more than what
Okay.
they used before, because it's a thicker filter because it's not pushing as much air.
Ah, okay. Because I was going to say, what's the connection between not as much airflow coming out?
Right.
And,
HEPA
okay.
filters are thicker
they're
filters
thicker.
because they're screening out more stuff,
Okay.
and so there's not as much airflow.
Good to
I
know.
noticed when they put them in.
Yep.
The first flight I took almost 2 years ago,
Okay.
you could tell.
Yeah.
You literally could tell.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Good to know.
So don't worry about flying.
All right, let's do a famous birthday before we take our first break. It is February 2nd, and it is the birthday of model actress Christy Brinkley. Remember Christy Brinkley? She was born on this day in 1954 in Monroe, Michigan. I can't believe she's 68 years old. Boy, she looks fabulous. Christy Brinkley is an American model, actress, and entrepreneur. Brinkley gained worldwide fame with her appearances in the late 1970s Sports Illustrated swimsuit issues, ultimately appearing on an unprecedented 3 consecutive covers starting in 1979. She spent 25 years as the face of CoverGirl and has appeared on over 500 magazine covers and has signed contracts with major brands, both fashion and non-fashion. Brinkley went on to work as an actress, illustrator, television personality, photographer, writer, designer, and activist for human and animal rights, as well as the environment. Brinkley has been married 4 times, most notably between 1985 and 1994 to musician Billy Joel, having appeared in several of his music videos. With a career spanning more than 3 decades, magazines such as Allure and Men's Health have named Christy Brinkley one of the most attractive women of all time. I have to say, I think Christy Brinkley is really pretty. I remember a DJ when Christy Brinkley and Billy Joel first got married, and I will never, don't ask me why, trivia, weird stuff sticks in your head.
Sure.
I remember this DJ saying, this marriage isn't going to last because she's a lot taller than he is.
That's funny.
And here we were. What was it? It lasted, I think, 10 years, 9 years.
I was
something
reading
like
about that song.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
said it was written by when he was surrounded by Christy Brinkley, Whitney Houston, and then girlfriend Elle McPherson.
Elle McPherson. And they said originally that
It was
he
about
wrote
her.
that it was about her, but it was actually Christy Brinkley who's in the video. It's pretty.
Right.
It's a pretty fun video.
But it ended up also becoming about his soon-to-be wife, Christy
Yes.
Brinkley. So yeah.
Yep, correct. All right. So with that said, it is 6:14, almost 6:15. So we're going to take a break. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses and WCPC cable channel 15. So in honor of the birthday of Christy Brinkley, we're going to listen to Billy Joel singing Uptown Girl. We'll be back.
She's been living in her white bread world as long as Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Dunkin' Donut Shops of Westfield and the Sardinia family. It's nice to know that even as the world changes, Dunkin' Coffee remains the same at 7 convenient locations throughout Westfield.
Listen to me, Michael Buster McMahon, Mondays 8 to 10 a.m. to learn the stories behind your favorite songs. Or don't. I'm not the boss of you.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:18. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses and WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and I'm in the studio this morning with the chairman of the board, producer Pete Coles. Good morning again, Pete.
Good morning. By the way,
Yes.
I might have to go live this afternoon on Channel 12, even though we're kind of in between stuff. At 3:18 p.m.,
Yes.
SpaceX is going to try to launch from California.
Okay.
And then at 4:51 p.m., they're going to try to launch from the Kennedy Space Center.
Wow.
2 launches in one day, and then 3
Wow.
in less than a week.
Wow, that's
Less than 5 days.
Pete, I heard this.
Their launch cadence is going way up.
I heard this. Somebody interviewed. It was a female interviewed on NPR the other day about flight to the moon and like hanging out on the moon for a
Yeah,
while.
sure.
Yeah. So we have. Yeah. So there's
China
a
wants to
lot-
do it.
There's
China's
a lot
already-
coming up with space flight.
China, there's another moon race going on between
Okay.
the U.S. and China.
Aha.
They've established their first space station.
Mm-hmm.
It's currently manned, as far as I know. And they want to race back to the moon because they want to industrialize the moon, which is what everybody wanted to do way back when, and we
Yeah.
just lost the will to do it.
Yep. And that's what this woman was talking about as well. You know. sort
Right.
of-
So you industrialize the moon. There's plenty of natural resources up there if you're lacking on Earth. And then you work towards colonizing Mars because the problem is if we get hit by that next asteroid that comes by, we could be wiped out as a species very easily.
Really.
And the governments of the Earth are very short-sighted in trying to permit things and things. They're more worried about a species of turtle that might go extinct on its own than worried about the entire species of the entire planet.
Mm-hmm.
They have no foresight. It's really weird.
Yeah. Well, I don't. Do you think that's globally or just Americans? Because I think as Americans
think
we're
it's-
really good at that.
Well, it's not in China because their
Yeah.
goal is to get
Yeah.
off the planet, but their goal is not necessarily to save the species. Their goal is to industrialize another body in
Gotcha.
space
Gotcha.
or asteroids or things like that.
yeah.
And the Russians are just out of it. They have no money to do something, to even
Yeah.
mount something like that.
Yeah.
And their private corporations just don't exist like they do here. Here it's going to be corporation driven.
Right.
It's not gonna
right.
be NASA
Yeah, we're
driven.
definitely seeing that. I think.
I think you're going to you're seeing NASA's last gasp at big rockets,
Trying to
things
do it,
like
yeah.
that.
Well, is all of NASA's Pete? You obviously you're really involved in this and really into this. Is NASA's funding primarily just government? Do they get any private funding?
They've made money off some of the patents from the Apollo era stuff.
Okay.
That's helped their funding, but yeah, they're all. It's
Generally,
always
it's
been
all
it's a government.
Yeah.
It's a government
Yeah.
agency.
Yeah.
So
Yep. Okay. All right.
yeah, but they were smart. They were like, well, we want to broaden our focus and concentrate on something different. We're going to kind of sub out stuff like
Okay,
the
yep.
International Space Station and trips to that and things like that, where we can focus on a big project. But the problem with government is, and we know this, is your procurement's funky.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of crazy laws,
Yes.
prevailing wages.
Yes.
So it leads to the cost of an SLS rocket
is
being enormous.
yeah.
And the overruns because the contractors know they can get away with it.
Yep.
Whereas SpaceX is launching for $50 million a shot.
Yep.
An SLS launch is going to be $1 billion.
Pete, and I'm
With a
sure.
B.
Yeah, I'm sure our listeners are not quite sure what we're all talking about here, but when you were talking about prevailing wages and so forth, I mean, municipalities pay. They have to pay so much for
Because of the laws.
goods and services because of the way and I don't know, are those state laws or federal laws? They
Both.
must be federal laws.
They're
they must be
both.
both, right? Okay, I know they're state laws.
But because of all the graft in the past,
Yeah.
of governments years past, these rules were passed with for good reason.
Yes.
But now some of that good reason has gone around the bend to not
Right.
why.
And so I've seen this happen more than once with city councilors, new city councilors, especially new city councilors that are elected who have any kind of like a business background, or if they worked in private industry.
Oh, it's still
and they end up on the finance committee. And oh my gosh, I can name them off, tick, 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 of people saying, well, wait, I would say, well, we need money at the senior center for such and such. That is absurd. I mean, not that you need it, but it shouldn't cost that much. And then, you've got the seasoned city councilor saying, yep, we all said that.
It still sticks in Brent Bean's claw that we have to pay
gosh.
prevailing wage for the construction.
Know. Brent was one of them to say, because he was on the finance committee. I remember the first time this happened. In fact, he might have been chair, saying, listen, I know we've all been there. If you've worked in private industry, you think you could do this for half the cost. But because of the way, as you said, because of the way the laws are, prevailing wage means you have to pay a certain wage to to whoever's working on your particular job. You have to work with whoever is a city vendor. So in other words, like people will say to me, well, why don't you just go and get your, party supplies at wherever, the dollar store, Walmart or whatever. They're not a city vendor. Mm-hmm. So if I go through the city and I go through like my revolving gift account, I can't. I have to go with somebody who's a city vendor. If I want to have an entertainer come in, the entertainer has to be, right, they have to register as a vendor. Now, that's not that hard to do for an entertainer. It's not a big deal. But
unless they have a personal relationship to you.
Yes.
Or somebody in your staff.
Yes, that's
and then it
true.
becomes an ethics violation.
That's
so there's,
true.
Yeah.
There is a lot to it. There's a lot behind the scenes that people don't realize. And, people will just say, well, why don't you just, as soon as I hear that word just, it's like, yeah. You think it's going to be that easy? Trust me, it's not. So... So Pete, how did you initially get interested in space?
Challenger disaster.
Really?
I was already interested in when I was a kid, but that day on my birthday, that cemented my love of space.
And how old were you when we had the Challenger disaster?
86. I was 15. I was in high school.
Okay. Yeah.
I remember that day.
Oh, I do too.
I can tell you exactly what I was doing
So
that
can
day,
I.
and when I found out. I tell you exactly where I was.
Where were you?
I walked into the library at Cathedral High School, and the lights were off, and the TV was on, and that never happened.
Okay.
And I asked the sisters what was going on. I says, the Challenger launched. And I'm like, yeah, that was supposed to launch today. And they're like, no, you don't understand. It just blew up. And I went, what?
Okay. Yeah.
So the rest of the day, I was in the library.
Yeah. Gary and I were living in Canton, Massachusetts at the time. We had just moved out there, and he had gotten a job in Needham, and I was looking for a job, and we had just moved into an apartment, and so it was a really nice apartment. It was very large. It was the second story, but it needed major cleaning. And so I was, literally like scrubbing walls and stuff. And I had the TV on, so I saw the whole thing because I wanted to actually see the launch. So I went into the living room to kind of watch the whole thing. And I just remember, I just remember the rest of the day sort of, I felt like a robot. I had the TV was on, of course, the whole day. They were broadcasting. And
yep.
And, the whole day I just kept saying, I can't believe it. Because that was when Christy McAuliffe, right?
Christy McAuliffe
was going up. And there was so much hype about that as a teacher. And, so, of course, everybody was. And, I think every school kid was,
one of our broadcasters and former umpire for the World Series, Babe Ruth, Jim Rivers, was the communications director for the governor of the state house of the state of New Hampshire. Mm-hmm. And so he became friends with Krista through the whole process, and he was at the Cape, and he witnessed it in person.
Yeah, I can't even imagine.
And he said that's one of the craziest days of his life.
Yeah,
because he knew the family.
Yeah.
And he knew what this meant.
Oh, yeah.
Personally.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's not just a national tragedy. For him, it was a friend that he just watched perish.
Yeah. So that cemented your interest in space and what's happening out there.
Yep.
You're kind of our space guru guy.
Yeah, and Kenny's the great thing for me is Kenny's interested in a lot of the things that I'm interested in.
Now, was Kenny
So I have a
interested in space
partner in
before he
crime.
met you, or did he become more interested? I mean, I certainly know I've learned a lot from you, so my interest has been piqued because of your knowledge. Is that kind of what happened with Ken?
I
Or
think he was already, but he
Okay.
like found a kindred spirit because we like trains too.
yeah,
So we kind of share a lot,
Oh,
which
that's
is
neat.
which is cool.
It
So
is great,
I have a
yeah.
partner in crime.
you do.
Hopefully, when Christy sees her first launch, I'll have a second partner in crime.
I know that's
We
really too
tried so
bad. I
hard.
know, and boy, what a trooper she was.
Well, the first time she saw the area and she saw what we were going to see, and she's like, "We got to go back."
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, It's like, this is gonna." I know what's gonna happen, and then Kenny posts on Facebook, "It's Pete. It's the Cole's curse," and I'm like, "Shut up, Kenny.
Cole's curse.
Shut up."
Well, you guys have seen some. You've seen some
I
launches
know,
over time.
I know, but
yeah.
it was special
I
because she
know.
was there.
I
We're gonna
know.
try again mid-February. I'm gonna be gone for a couple days.
Okay.
We're going to Virginia. This was supposed to be our Florida Virginia trip.
Okay.
But,
Mid-February? Like mid-February, like in 2 weeks?
Yeah,
Okay. All right. So we'll
but
have to.
but the Florida stuff got pushed back
Yeah.
because I want to see SLS launch the new moon rocket.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see the maiden flight of that,
Okay.
and I'm going to drive down so I don't get stuck with this flying thing.
All right. Okay.
Lots of
let's-
stuff coming up.
We got lots of stuff coming up. Let's do a birthday because I'm looking at the clock and I'm going,
Yeah,
time,
we're
almost time for a
chatty,
break.
yeah.
Oh, we're chatty. That's okay. We can chat today. We have all the time in the world, Pete. All right. So today, and I really wanted to do this particular artist. It is the birthday of the late Peter Lucia. He was a drummer. He was born on this date, February 2nd, 1947, in Morristown, New Jersey, which is the town next to where I grew up in northern New Jersey. He passed away very young. He was only 39. He died January 6th, 1987. Peter Lucia played drums for the group Tommy James and the Shondells beginning in 1967. In the mid-1960s, Tommy James and his Shondells played straightforward rock and roll. Hits included Hanky Panky, Mony Mony, and I Think We're Alone Now. Much to their dismay, the group became associated with the budding bubblegum music genre. Remember, like Sugar Sugar by the Archies and, some of those. So Tommy James hated his bubblegum pop artist label, so he changed his style to more psychedelic rock. From late 1968, the group began writing their own songs with James and Peter Lucia penning the psychedelic tinged classic Crimson and Clover. Other hits included Sweet Cherry Wine, Crystal Blue Persuasion, and Ball of Fire, all from 1969. As the band embraced the sounds of psychedelia, they were invited to perform at Woodstock, but they declined. The group disbanded in 1971. Well, the reason that I really wanted to talk about Peter Lucia was because when Gary and I went to high school, we went to high school together, that was Randolph High School, and we had a good friend of ours, Sharon McAllister. Her sister, our friend was Janice McAllister. Her older sister's name was Sharon McAllister. She graduated with my brother. She dated Peter Lucia. And because I remember this was back in the 70s when we were all in high school. And I remember Janice saying at one point, her older sister was dating the drummer from Tommy James and the Shondells. And I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. I thought this was the coolest thing ever, right? So here I am doing this bio on him. And I went, oh my gosh, this is the person who Sharon McAllister was dating. So, and then it made sense to me when I looked at where he was from. Well, he was from Morristown, New Jersey. It was next town over from where Gary and I grew up. Because at first I'm thinking, how did that, what did she go to, LA or something and meet this guy? No, He was in the next town over. So obviously, they didn't get married or anything like that, but they did date. So,
Right.
All right. So in honor of Peter Lucia's birthday, we're going to play a song from Tommy James and the Shondells. Happens to be one of my favorite songs. That's what you can do when you host your own show. You can play all the stuff that you really like. So it's 6:32. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield Masses and WCPC cable channel 15. So we're going to listen to Sweet Cherry Wine by Tommy James and the Shondells.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Dunkin' Donut Shops of Westfield and the Sardinia family. It's nice to know that even as the world changes, Dunkin' Coffee remains the same at 7 convenient locations throughout Westfield.
Join us the third Wednesday of every month with Selectman Joe Didi and his take on everything Southwick.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:37. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses and WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and I'm in the studio this morning with the chairman of the board, Pete Coles. Good morning again, Pete.
Good morning.
You know, I'm looking outside, and it is still really dark out. I mean, it's staying lighter out later in the day, but wow. Shouldn't the sun be coming up by now?
Yes.
I feel like
It
it's,
should.
you know, it's like 6:30, almost 6:38. What's the deal here? We should be seeing a little glimmer of sunlight here, but all right. So, you know, it was kind of a day for a lot of musicians to be born on February 2nd. The Howard Bellamy, singer-songwriter, was born on this date in 1946.
Hold on. That's interesting. The microphone works really well.
Yeah, what are we doing there?
I'm
that was
trying
like
a
this
new
little-
app with my phone.
Oh,
so
okay.
See
Because I
my
was going to
face in
say,
there?
yes,
That's
I
my
do see her even.
phone.
Oh, that's your phone.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, we had that really cool. It was like a Crimson and Clover kind of echo.
Yeah, because
We were
I'm in
talking
here with all
about
the
that.
speakers and stuff, and
Yeah.
the microphone on my camera's picking up. I can shut
Yeah,
that off. I
there it
think.
is.
There we go. But that's interesting. I'm I'm
Right.
testing a new app
Okay.
because I'm
All
thinking
right.
about more interaction with the kids, and if I can do a phone, we might be able to interact with the kids down there. So that'd be interesting.
Okay, there you go.
It works.
All right. Back to Howard Bellamy, singer,
Sorry.
songwriter. That's okay. Born on this date in 1946 in Darby, Florida. He's 76 years old today. He was one half of the Bellamy Brothers. The Bellamy Brothers are an American pop and country music duo consisting of brothers Howard, whose birthday is today, and David. At the suggestion of Neil Diamond's drummer, Dennis St. John, the brothers recorded and released the single "Let Your Love Flow." I started to say "Let Your Blood Flow."
Yeah, I gotta do that too.
"Let Your Love Flow," written by Diamond's roadie, Larry Williams. Released in 1976, "Let Your Love Flow" was a #1 single on the U.S. pop charts, as well as more than a dozen countries worldwide. Starting in the late 1970s, the Bellamy Brothers found success in country music as well, charting 10 #1 singles, 25 top 10, and more than 50 hits overall on the country charts. To date, they have released more than 50 albums. So here's what always shocks me when I do these bios on people. You know, I'll pick it out and I'll go, oh, yeah, I know that song, "Let Your Love Flow." I really like that song. Thinking like it was kind of like a one-hit wonder, because I'm not a super big country fan. I don't listen to a lot of country music.
I would have been in the group with you on that one. Though.
And I thought, well, you know, and then I found out it's like, no, these guys were really big in the country scene. So, let's see, they've also enjoyed success in continental Europe with a compilation album topping the Norwegian charts in 2011 and over 24 hit songs that were released outside of the U.S. market, which, again, I don't really think of that. I think of, oh, it's an American group, they're here. But, you know, some of the American groups have gotten really popular overseas. In 2013...
David Hasselhoff was huge in just Germany.
Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
In 2013, their album Bellamy Brothers and Friends Across the Sea landed at #5 in the Swiss music chart and took the top spot album in sales for weeks in Switzerland. It was their third major release in Europe in 3 years. Their album Mermaid Cowgirl, recorded in Switzerland and released in 2014, won them gold record status in Switzerland. They also recorded 4 albums in Germany with Ralph Siegel for release to the European market. So happy 76th birthday to Howard Bellamy of the Bellamy Brothers.
There you go.
See that? You learn something new every day. All right. And we'll do one more birthday right now before we jump into something else. It's the birthday of the late Howard Johnson, entrepreneur, born on this date. in 1897 in Milton, Massachusetts, which is south of Boston, for those of you who are not familiar. We used to live in Needham and Canton, so Milton was kind of really close by. He died June 20th, 1972 at the age of 75. So when Howard Johnson's father died, he left his son a cigar business that was in debt. Johnson ran the cigar store until 1924 when he liquidated it, but he could not erase the $10,000 debt. He entered the restaurant industry to pay off the loan that remained after he sold the cigar venture. In 1925, Howard Johnson bought a small soda shop in the Wollaston neighborhood of Quincy, Massachusetts. He enhanced the quality of the ice cream by buying a recipe from a pushcart vendor for $300. Now, somebody else had told me this years ago. I have a good friend who owned an ice cream business and his dad owned an ice cream business for years, and he told me this too. This recipe doubled the butter fat of the product. And
Joe Didi said that in the past. Yeah.
That's what makes, it's not like the sugar or whatever, it's the
texture,
fat.
yeah.
It's the fat content.
Yeah.
You increase that fat content and it's like a dream. It
Difference
tastes
between ice milk and ice cream.
You got that right. It doubled the butter fat of the product and used only natural flavorings. Now remember, this was back in the 20s. By 1928, Howard Johnson was grossing about $240,000 from ice cream sold in the store and nearby beaches. Johnson expanded operations.
$240,000 in
1928.
That's a lot of money.
That is a whole heck of a lot of money. I know. He expanded operations by opening more stores and started selling food items such as hamburgers and frankfurters at his original store. In 1929, he opened a second restaurant in Quincy. In 1935, Howard Johnson teamed up with a local businessman, Reginald Sprague, and created the first modern restaurant franchise. The idea was new in that era. Let an operator use the name, food, supplies, and logo in exchange for a fee. Sometimes I wonder, how did that ever get started? Well, that's how it got started. Some guy had an idea. The business of, quote, Hojo chain restaurants rapidly expanded, and he also entered the lodging industry. Howard Johnson's contribution to the restaurant industry was the idea of centralized buying and a commissary system to prepare menu items for distribution to the chain of restaurants. He helped shape the, quote, American way of dining out that included locations by major roads. Think about it. Howard Johnson's, they were all by major roads and highways.
There was one right up at where the Wendy's is. That hotel combination was a Howard Johnson's.
Was a Howard Johnson's? And there was one in West Springfield.
Yep.
Over right by the 91 in the Pike.
Yep.
He helped shape the American way of dining out that included locations by major roads, family-friendly atmosphere. It was one of those places you could bring the kids. It didn't, and preparing comfort food meals. When you think about it, it's like, meatloaf, pot roast, all the stuff that still works. We know that at the senior center. So happy birthday to the late Howard Johnson. I just, I find some of these sort of rags to riches stories really, really fascinating.
200,000 would be, in today's dollars, would be 2.78 million.
Yeah. That was a whole, and considering when he inherited his dad's business, he inherited kind of a mess. I mean, it wasn't like his dad left him, and he was, the other thing too was he was young. I mean, he was.
Sounds like the story of Heinz.
Yes, it does, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because he was in his 20s when he inherited his dad's business.
Yep.
Early 20s. So, it's not like he had seen the world or anything. I give people credit for that stuff. That's pretty amazing. All right, it is 6:46. You are listening to WSKB 89.5 FM, radio for the Westfield Masses, and WCPC cable channel 15. We're going to listen to Let Your Love Flow by the Bellamy Brothers in honor of Howard Bellamy's birthday, which is today. We'll be back.
Sunshine sky, and there's a reason why I'm feeling so high. Must be the season when that love light shines all around us. So
Underwriting support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Greater Westfield Chamber of Commerce, the voice of business for the Greater Westfield communities. Informing, educating, advocating, the Chamber provides opportunities for members to make meaningful connections on local, regional, and state levels. For more information on the Chamber's many events, workshops, and programs, as well as the benefits of membership, visit westfieldbiz.org. The Chamber focuses on the most important economy, yours.
Join us every Thursday morning
from 6 until at least 7:30.
Check out the Bobby G and Company Show
right here on WSKB 89.5
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 at 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:50. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses and WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and I am in the studio this morning with the chairman of the board, producer Pete Coles. Good morning again, Pete.
Good morning.
So now, Pete, it is the first Wednesday of the month, so will Joe Rouse be here doing the Joe Show today?
He should be, yeah.
Okay, very good.
I believe his scheduled guest canceled at the last minute, so I believe his mom is pinch hitting.
Boy, there's a lot of that going on today.
Yep.
But that's okay. You know what? We're seasoned veterans here. I will mention that Dr. Gary Gorman usually joins me on the first Wednesday of the month, but there's been a lot going on for him both at work and personally, and so he had to bow out. However, he schooled me last night, spent quite a while giving me a presentation on what I needed to discuss today, because we're going to be talking about winter safety. And he gave me some really great tips. I took copious notes, so we will be going through that. So even though Dr. Gorman will not be here in person, he will certainly be here in spirit, and I will be giving you his words of wisdom during the second hour a little bit later on. A couple more birthdays that we need to talk about today. It is the birthday of singer-songwriter Graham Nash. Born on this day in 1942 in Blackpool, England, he's 80 years old today. In the early 1960s, Graham Nash co-founded the Hollies. I didn't know that. Did you know that he was?
No.
Yeah, he co-founded the Hollies, one of the United Kingdom's most successful pop groups, with school friend Alan Clark. Nash was credited as the group's leader on their first album. Hits included Bus Stop, On a Carousel, and Carrie Ann. Nash initially met both David Crosby and Stephen Stills in 1966 during a Hollies U.S. tour. On a subsequent visit to the United States a couple years later, he was more formally introduced to Crosby by mutual friend Cass Elliot, that is Mama Cass of the Mamas and Papas fame. You know, it's just really amazing to me how all of these, interact and, it all comes together. So Graham Nash left the Hollies to form a new group with Crosby and Stills. A trio at first, Crosby, Stills, and Nash later became a quartet in 1969 with Neil Young joining the group, and then it became Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young. With both configurations, both the trio and the quartet, Graham Nash went on to even greater worldwide success, penning many of CSN's most commercial hit singles, such as Our House, about the house in Laurel Canyon shared with his then-lover Joni Mitchell. There's a little trivia for you. Teach Your Children and Marrakesh Express, both of which had been rejected by the Hollies. So those were two songs that he had written for the Hollies, and they didn't want to sing them. Oh, well. Just a Song Before I Go and Wasted on the Way. Nash, nicknamed Willie by his bandmates, Graham Nash has been described as the glue that kept their often fragile alliances together. So happy 80th birthday to Graham Nash. That's a big milestone. And my last birthday for today, it is the birthday of the late model actress Farrah Fawcett. Farrah Fawcett was born on this day in 1947 in Corpus Christi, Texas. She died June 25th, 2009 at the age of 62. On September 22nd, 1976, Farrah Fawcett debuted as former policewoman Jill Monroe in the television series Charlie's Angels. Also starring fellow beauties Kate Jackson and Jacqueline Smith, the Aaron Spelling drama premiered to high ratings. During the show's first season, A poster of Farrah Fawcett dressed in a seemingly innocent red bathing suit sold 12 million copies. The image, which catapulted Fawcett to superstardom, epitomized her perfect combination of girl next door innocence and blonde bombshell sexuality. Furthermore, and I do remember this well because it was back in the 70s, and that's when I was in high school and college, the layered hairstyle that she sported became such an overwhelming trend with American women that a Farrah Fawcett shampoo was launched. She had that feathered look. It was the long feathered back, and prior to that, and that's when I'll tell you what else that really, if you look at the business end of it, blow dryers. That hairstyle, because it really required a blow dryer. You had to use a round brush, and that was the beginning of round brushes, blow dryers, curling irons to get your hair to look like Farrah Fawcett. In 1984, Farrah Fawcett produced and starred in the made-for-TV drama The Burning Bed, which was a searing portrait of domestic violence. For her compelling performance as a woman driven to kill her husband after suffering for years under his physical abuse, Fawcett earned national recognition as well as an Emmy nomination. And I remember that movie when it came out. It was powerful, and I believe that was based on a true story.
I think so. I think you're right.
Yeah, Fawcett also won acclaim. This one I didn't see in the stage and in a movie version of Extremities in 1986, in which she played a rape victim who turns the tables on her attacker. In 1989, she played a mother who shot her children in another miniseries, Small Sacrifices, receiving a second Emmy nomination. Her third Emmy nomination came in 2001 for her work in The Guardian. Farrah Fawcett died of cancer at the age of 62. Until the end, she lived life on her own terms, documenting her most important and impactful moment as she fearlessly battled cancer in a very public and moving way. And I do remember that as well. So happy birthday to the late, beautiful Farrah Fawcett. All right, Pete, it's February 2nd, and you know what that means. It's Groundhog Day. Right? So National Groundhog Day on February 2nd each year asks one question. Will he see his shadow? Okay, well, maybe it asks another question. Will there be 6 more weeks of winter? The day is celebrated each year in the United States and Canada. Traditionally, the groundhog awakens from his nap for a nice welcome break during the winter to see if he can see his shadow. Many believe if the groundhog sees his shadow, there will be 6 more weeks of winter. If this is so, he retreats into his den and goes back to sleep. So, Pete, that's what we need to do. We need to just emerge, check things out, and then say, no, never mind, I'm going back to bed. So, However, if he does not see his shadow, the groundhog remains outside to play, and people celebrate, believing spring is just around the corner. The Germans practiced the art of predicting the winter with a hedgehog. When they arrived in the United States, they settled in the hills of Pennsylvania, and the groundhog became the official predictor. Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, has hosted the annual Groundhog Day event. Thousands of people come to the town on Groundhog Day for this day of celebration. Although already a well-known day, Groundhog Day received widespread attention due to the 1993 film Groundhog Day, which was set in Punxsutawney and portrayed Roger Whittaker as the groundhog. So, a couple questions and answers for you on Groundhog Day. What's another name for a groundhog? Groundhogs are also called a woodchuck. Does a groundhog hibernate? Well, yes, it does. The groundhog is a hibernating rodent. And this one I thought was interesting. Where do groundhogs live? Groundhogs are native to North America, to the North American continent, and are not found elsewhere in the world. Hence the reason why the Germans used a hedgehog, because they didn't have groundhogs there.
Okay.
Yeah. So interesting stuff. Okay. So happy Groundhog Day. Now, Pete, what you'll have to do is if you can, maybe when we take our top of the hour break, which is going to be in just about a minute, if you could look up, I don't know what time they do the big, I can't remember, is it like 9 o'clock in the morning when they take the groundhog out in Pennsylvania and check out and see if he's going to see his shadow? And the bigger question is, what's the weather report in Pennsylvania
Right.
and might he see it or not. So we'll look that up. It is 6:59, almost 7 o'clock. So we're going to take our top of the hour break. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses and WCPC cable channel 15. We'll be back in just a few.
Underwriting support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Greater Westfield Chamber of Commerce, the voice of business for the Greater Westfield communities. Informing, educating, advocating, the Chamber provides opportunities for members to make meaningful connections on local, regional, and state levels. For more information on the Chamber's many events, workshops, and programs, as well as the benefits of membership, visit westfieldbiz.org. The Chamber focuses on the most important economy, yours.
Support for community radio on WSKB is provided by Betts Plumbing and Heating Supply Company, an independent, family-owned wholesaler serving Westfield for over 50 years, specializing in plumbing, heating, and industrial piping supplies. On the web at bettsplumbing.com or at 14 Coleman Avenue in Westfield.
Join us every Thursday morning
From 6 until at least 7:30,
Check out the Bobby G and Company Show.
right here on WSKB 89.5.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 7:03. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses and WCPC cable channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and I'm in the studio this morning with the chairman of the board, Pete Coles. Good morning again, Pete.
Good morning. I'm endeavoring to get Punxsutawney Phil.
Okay.
It's scheduled to go live at 7:15.
Oh, okay. Earlier than I thought. And it's actually light out now. So in 15 minutes, it went from literally pitch black, I couldn't see anything, to now I
very
can see
cloudy out
everything.
there,
So
yeah.
it is cloudy. So if it's cloudy in Pennsylvania, that means that he doesn't see a shadow. That means that supposedly spring is right around the corner. Wouldn't that be nice?
So we'll attempt to go to the Visit Pennsylvania website live,
Okay.
where they will have there's 2,000 people waiting, so we
Yep.
should be able to take it live.
All right. Okay. Well, we'll do that at 7:15, around
Yeah.
7:15. Okay. All right. So we'll take the break a little bit earlier than that then. Okay, a couple of announcements. Western Mass Walkers at the Holyoke Mall. So beginning on January 18th, the West Springfield Council on Aging staff has started a walking group at the Holyoke Mall on Tuesdays and Thursdays between 8 and 10 in the morning. They're just doing it for the winter. You can park on the upper level outside of Target on the side closest to Best Buy. Go through Target, just going to go right through the store and head down to the food court in the basement. There will be staff from the Council on Aging downstairs, and they will watch your coats and purses and all that stuff so that you can start your walk. This is not a guided thing, so it's just everybody gathers, and then everybody goes, and then everybody scatters and walks, grab a partner, meet a new friend, make a friend. Coffee's available between 8:30 and 9:30 in the food court, so you can sit and chat before or after you walk. And the stores don't open until 11, so most of the stores don't open until 11 other than Target. So you really have free reign of the mall. So great program. Thank you to Sarah Long, who is the director over in West Springfield, who she's young, Pete. She has all the energy that I had, 10 years ago. She's awesome. We love her. Also, as a reminder, we have a durable medical equipment loan program at the senior center. Right now it's gangbusters. Remember we had our Rollator giveaway, Pete? We gave away, I think, like 15 or 16 Rollator walkers. So that was great. Yep. It got our inventory down to something that's more manageable, and space-wise it's more manageable. We made like 15 people really, really happy. They were happy to get them. They could come in. They tried them out. We had them all displayed in the fireside lounge. It was like, go choose your walker and then just let us know, give us a name. But we also have medical equipment that we loan out. And I've noticed, I think there is an uptick now on elected surgeries being that were rescheduled during the surge. Right. So now we're getting, I can't tell you how many knee and hip replacements we're seeing. So people are borrowing commodes and shower chairs, walkers, leg reachers, grabbers, things like that. So the process is, folks, you can't just stop in at the senior center and say, I want to borrow something. As easy as that sounds, it doesn't work for us because I handle the medical equipment loan program. And chances are you're not going to find me just sitting around with nothing to do that, I can jump up and say, sure, I'll get you what you need. So you need to call in advance. The other reason for that is because sometimes there are things, sometimes I ask people to, take a measurement. How wide is your doorway? Because I've had people say to me, I need a wheelchair and the seat needs to be so many inches wide. Well, that's all great because then I can say, great, I'll run upstairs. I'll call you back. Let me see what I have. I can run upstairs. I can take measurements. So just give us a call. And then I do the paperwork over the phone. It takes about 3 or 4 minutes to do the paperwork. And then we just schedule a date and a time for pickup. A lot of times you can pick it up same day. So if you call me in the morning, you can pick it up in the afternoon, generally, as long as I have the items. And then if I don't, it's really a fabulous program. And I had a gentleman who called me yesterday. His wife has cerebral palsy. She's a little bit younger, and she is taking classes at HCC, and she needs to borrow a wheelchair because I think she has her mobility is good enough in the home, but to be running around HCC, she can't do that with her disability. So she's going to borrow a wheelchair and just try that out. And then if that works, then they can work through the insurance company and see if they can purchase one for her. But we loan out the equipment for up to 6 months. So that's a really good period of time. If you're recuperating for something, a lot of times you don't need it longer than that. A lot of people only need it for a month or two. Or if you do need it for longer, it's an opportunity to try the equipment out, decide what works for you before you make that purchase or before the insurance company pays for that purchase. So please keep us in mind. Just give us a call, 562-6435. It is the beginning of the month, so of course the new Voice of Experience newsletter came out, the February edition, our Valentine's edition. Jim Johnson Corwin has us all in pink this month. So a couple of big announcements. So I'm going to do my first really big announcement. My first really big announcement is that we now have a nurse back at the senior center. So that's exciting enough because we haven't had a nurse in 2 years because of COVID. But what's more exciting is the nurse that we have had before COVID for several years was just there a couple mornings a week. So, a total of 6 hours. So people kind of had a schedule around that. But the nurse we have now lives at the senior center with us. So she is a gift from the health department. So Evelyn Bristol, much like we did with Mark Carbonneau being housed at the senior center, our senior safety officer, Evelyn will continue to work for the health department. So she has health department duties and responsibilities, and sometimes she's on the road for the health department. But she is housed now at the senior center. So she is there 5 days a week. She checks in. She's, checks in, checks out. It's really a fabulous, just a fabulous service. For right now, because she has other responsibilities, you need to schedule an appointment. So you can come and see her for patient education, if you want to get your blood pressure checked, if you want some information on diabetes or something like that. Evelyn can explain all of that. So we're super excited to have her. We want to thank Joe Rouse from the health department for making that possible. Just call the senior center to schedule an appointment. It's 562-6435. And the other really fun thing is Evelyn had her first senior who came to see her. She called the other day, scheduled an appointment, came to see her. I think it was the day before yesterday, so I think it was only her second day on the job at the senior center, and that was Irene Makowitz. So Irene goes down in history. She was all excited to tell us that she was the first person. And it was interesting though. Irene had said to me, and I do need to relay this to Joe Rouse. Irene had said that as much as she has appreciated the curbside meals and all of the other things during COVID, what she really missed the most was having access to a nurse because she really needed, to get blood pressure checked and things like that. And just things that she can't do on her own. And her physician was absolutely thrilled to find out that she now has access to that service. So please take advantage, folks. Again, just give us a call. Drop-ins are going to be dicey because Evelyn is sometimes tied up with other things. Best bet, make an appointment. It could very well be the same day. You might be able to call. I think that's what Irene did, called in the morning, and Evelyn saw her in the afternoon.
By the way, Mr. S tells me to tell you that your order is ready.
Perfect. My order is ready. I was kind of hoping my order would be ready, but mum's the word because that's a surprise for my seniors.
That's
pizza.
Why I
we
didn't say anything,
can't talk about what order that is, but that's perfect. All right. Also, in addition to getting a nurse that's now at the senior center full time, we also got this wonderful donation of face masks from the health department. So this is what they look like. They are packages of 5. They are KN95 protective masks. Filtration efficiency is 95%. We are giving these away at the greeter's desk. Sandra is giving them pretty much to anybody who she's offering them to anybody who walks in the door to participate in programs. We have our tax people coming in to pick up their tax packets, people who are going to be participating in that program. So anybody who's walking in the door, Sandra's offering a couple of packages of the face masks. Take advantage.
I didn't get anything like that.
Well, I brought 2 for you, Pete. How's that?
I'll put them in my desk.
Yeah, put them in your desk. And I'll tell you. I'll show you. They're really great. And Sandra does a whole demonstration of how to use them because they're this kind.
Yeah, the form fitting.
Yeah,
ones.
the form fitting. So you can pinch this top, and Sandra shows you if you tuck it under your glasses won't fog up. I have found, I feel like I've sampled every kind of face mask there is since this pandemic started. Mary Lou and I are like, we are in love with these face masks because we can breathe, we can talk. They're comfortable, so we're loving it. The only thing is I find if I put it out here, it's very white and it's a little distracting. So tuck it in there for now. But anyway, feel free, come and get them. We have plenty of them for everyone. I am really indebted to Joe Rouse from the health department for offering those because we were that same day going to go purchase some face masks for our companion program volunteers and some of our clients. So happy about that. And to Tommy Hibbert, who delivered them, we didn't even have to go pick them up. They delivered them to the senior center. And it was like, the old Volkswagen with the clowns coming out? That's the way these boxes of masks. They were just like boxes and boxes and boxes and boxes. And
that's funny.
So yeah, but we are doing a great. Sandra's really. She said, I think I've gone through 3 they're big boxes. She goes, I think I've given away like 3 boxes worth, and so that's what it's all about. All right. So where are we with our
They're waiting on the
Pennsylvania
stream,
thing?
so we should probably take the break.
Okay. All right. So let's take a break. We are going to listen to Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young singing "Teach Your Children" in honor of Graham Nash's birthday. We'll be back.
Who are on the road must have a code that you can live by, and so become yourself, because the past is just a goodbye. Teach your children well. Their father's hell did slowly go by, and feed them on your dreams, the one they picked, the one you know by. Don't you ever ask them why, if they told you you would cry, so just look at them and sigh. And know they love you. And you of tender years can't know the fears that your elders grew by, and so please help them with your youth. They see the truth before they can die. Teach your parents well.
We may have to interrupt things here.
That's okay.
They're going to give the prognostication.
Here we go.
There's a little bit of pomp and circumstance.
Do
for
you
this.
think we have all these men in top hats and look at this crowd?
We even have live audio, so that's cool too.
It is cool.
All right, let's see what they.
We'll see.
This
We'll
is,
see
this
what happens.
is a big deal. There,
Oh, yeah.
Apparently, there's several prognosticators around the country.
Okay.
There's like 8 of them.
But Phil.
Okay, you ready to get serious? Good Groundhog Day morning to you. Happy Groundhog Day. We are about to wake Punxsutawney Phil up so that he can give us his annual prediction.
Sun's up at least.
All right.
Before we do that, I want to introduce the people on stage here with us now.
I hear heaters running. You hear them?
These people are
Yep.
in charge of hosting the ceremony this Groundhog Day and perpetuating the lore and legend of Punxsutawney Phil. This is the Punxsutawney Groundhog Club. Rain-making, downpouring, day-breaking, shingle-shaking in a circle! We have current and past members, and I would like to acknowledge our former members first. First, starting with...
All right, let's talk a little bit over
Yeah, I
these
was going to
guys.
say this could be a long process, Pete.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
We'll,
so
we'll,
while
s-
they're
we'll stay with it.
we'll stay with it until we all right. So let's do a few announcements here. Just as a reminder, we are doing I can't do it while they're
I'll turn them down.
Yeah, just turn it down. Thank you. All right. We are doing AARP tax assistance at the Senior Center. We still have appointments available. So if you are interested in having your taxes done, first of all, it must be a simple, it's got to be a simple form. If you've got tons and tons of investments, that's not what our tax aid volunteers can handle. But if you are lower moderate income and with a relatively simple return, and you would like us to do it at the Senior Center, it's a curbside drop-off. So the way this works is that you would drop off all your documents in the morning between 9 and 9:15. You need to be available by telephone because the tax aid volunteers will be calling you during the day while they're doing your return. They'll be doing it at the senior center. They'll be on the computer at the senior center. And then later on in the day, you'll pick up your documents and sign off that your return is ready to be sent electronically. So if you would like to have that done, we have some appointments left, not a huge number. So I would suggest you not wait too long to call us, 562-6435. I believe that now all the appointments in February and even early March are full. So I think we're booking out toward the end of March and early April. So feel free to do that. Again, not a whole lot of appointments, so don't wait. The mail call class meets twice a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 8 to 9 a.m. The cost is $5 per class on a pay-as-you-go basis. Michelle Urbanski teaches that class. It's just a great class. It is only for men. That particular class is only for men. So if you're interested, if you want more information, you can call the Senior Center and talk to Mary Lou, our program director, about that, or you can just come on over. There still is room in that class. We do have room capacities in all of our rooms, but we still have room in that class. So feel free. And even if you just want to try it, it's on a pay-as-you-go basis. So you can, try it, see if you like it. We have 2 newer members, and I can tell you that they tried it, they loved it, and they've been back for the last couple of weeks. This afternoon, we have Michelle Moniz doing her Heaven's Angels group. Sewing for Comfort and Peace, and they meet on the first Wednesday of the month from 1:30 to 4 p.m. So they're meeting today, and they take wedding gowns and dismantle them and cut them up and refurbish them and make dressing gowns for babies that do not make it out of the hospital, either because of miscarriage, stillbirth, or through neonatal loss. The baby gown is used to present the infants to their families as they say a final farewell before burial or cremation. So again, you don't have to be a sewer to participate in Heaven's Angels. We need people to cut things up, and we need people to trace patterns.
Looks like we're pretty close here.
Okay, all right. We are going to head back to Groundhog Day.
Punxsutawney.
Increase in 1 year we've ever had. But when I got here and I looked out, I'm going to tell you, this is the largest midweek crowd in the history of Groundhog Day.
Look at all the people.
I know. It's amazing.
And to steal a line from Woodstock, you people have proven something to the world, that 10,000 or more people can get together at 3 o'clock in the morning and have fun and music and nothing but fun and music, and we God bless you for it.
I like his shillelagh.
Yeah.
My job here is really minor. The center of attention is Phil and the handler. We're going to get to that really here very shortly. I have in my hand a cane that's been passed down to me for more than 100 years that Phil himself whittled with his teeth. With this cane, I hold it in my hand and I can speak groundhogese, which is wiggles and nose movements, and we'll try to figure out whether I'm correct in interpreting it, because as we all know, Phil is always right. There are people here from around the world.
Grumbling in the crowd.
London, Switzerland, Germany, Russia. Every country in the world is almost represented. And every state in the United States of America is here. I can guarantee you that. So what I want to do is I want you to give a toast to the world, because you're on TV right now and around the world streaming. And our toast is going to be this. Repeat after me. We love Phil.
We love Phil. We love Phil. We love Phil. We love Phil. We love Phil. We love Phil. We love Phil.
And the rest of the toast is this. May we all live long.
May we all live long.
Like Phil.
Like Phil.
All right, let's get him out. One more. Give me the chant, Phil.
I love this.
You
This
gotta
is
love
funny.
it, Pete. You gotta love it.
Think spring.
Think spring. All right.
There's drama here.
There is a lot of drama. I would be nervous that I'd be getting bitten by Phil.
They've been bitten numerous times in the past.
Bet.
Sometimes he doesn't like it.
Yeah. Hey, listen, if somebody woke me up out of hibernation. Okay, where is he?
Listen, you're doing what several national news.
Ooh.
There's Phil.
There it is.
Phil probably 10. Wow, he's pretty good holding on there.
Yeah, I have to say.
He's pretty mellow, that Phil.
We have with us two scrolls that have been prepared. One is spring and one is winter. Are you ready to find out?
Yes. Early spring.
Pete, this is something out of
This is hilarious.
like a Mary Poppins movie.
Yeah. Which one's Phil gonna eat?
Billy, help me out. Put your hand on the cane with me.
Wow.
We got a prediction. Are you ready?
Yes, we're all ready.
Ready. Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. Today, 2/2/22. Welcome to Punxsutawney to celebrate Groundhog Day, the 136th annual trek of the Punxsutawney Groundhog Club. Punxsutawney Phil, the seer of seers, the prognosticator of all prognosticators, was gently lifted from his burrow at 7:25 a.m., held high to sea. His faithful followers had returned with glee. Placing Phil on top of the stump, where in groundhog ease, he directed the president, Jeff Lundy, and the inner circle to his prediction scroll that reads, "Winter has been bleak, dark, and bereft of hope. Yet winter is just another step in the cycle of life. As I look over the faces of the true believers from around the world, I lost my space. I bask in the warmth of your hearts. I couldn't imagine a better fate. With my shadow I have cast than a long, lustrous 6 more weeks of winter."
There it is. There it is, folks. 6 more weeks of winter. Strap it in, buckle down. Here we go.
Not really surprised by that.
Start cooking that comfort food. All right. Well, with that, why don't we take a short break? When we come back, I have a few more announcements. And then I've got some winter safety tips from Dr. Gary Gorman. It is 7:27. You're listening to WSKB.
Perfect song.
89. Well, and I did that on purpose
You
for
thought it was
a couple
gonna be?
reasons. For one thing, this song, the song that I chose, by the way, is "Amid the Falling Snow" by Enya. I actually did this because of the topic that Gary and I were going to be discussing, and that I will be discussing with our viewers. Gary will not be here, of course. But yeah, that was kind of the thing. And then the next song that we're going to be doing in 15 minutes has to do with Groundhog Day.
Well, you prognosticated better than Phil because you had him picked beforehand.
I did. I certainly did. All right. So we're going to listen to Enya singing "Amid the Falling Snow." This is a beautiful song. This is absolutely a beautiful song. So enjoy. We'll be back.
How I remember sleepless nights when we would read by candlelight. silence of a winter's night brings memories I hold inside, remembering a blue moonlight upon the fallen snow. I close my window to the night. I leave the sky her tears of white, and all is lit by candlelight amid the falling snow, and all is lit by candlelight amid the falling
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Barnes & Noble College Bookstore in the Ely Campus Center, offering Westfield State t-shirts, sweatshirts, and gift merchandise, all of your academic needs, and offering textbook materials in new, used, ebook, and rental formats. Available at the bookstore on campus or online at westfieldState.bncollege.com.
Hi, it's Bob Plass, and I have Wow, It's Tuesday, every Tuesday, 6 to 8. Wow, it's Tuesday.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
I did it!
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 7:32. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM, radio for the Westfield Masses, and WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and I am in the studio this morning with the chairman of the board, producer Pete Coles. Good morning again, Pete.
Good morning. Now you're becoming a real morning show.
Yeah, exactly.
Now you've had Punxsutawney, a live shot from Punxsutawney.
Thank you for bringing that up on screen, Pete. You know what? I just think that pomp and circumstance is hysterical, and it reminded me of the bankers in the movie Mary Poppins. You know, with all of their black suits on and being very serious about tuppence and put your 5 cents in the bank and so forth.
Well, now that we have all those
kind of thing,
cool programs and technology, we can pull in stuff like that.
Yeah, which is really fun.
Yeah.
So we're going to go from sort of the fun to a little bit more serious. My guest typically on the first Wednesday of the month is Dr. Gary Gorman, our resident chiropractor here at WSKB and WCPC. But Gary sent his apologies. He's had some last minute things come up at work and some personal stuff going on, and it's a little bit overwhelming right now. So, however, last night over dinner, I said to him, okay, we had already agreed on what the topic was going to be, which is basically winter safety, primarily preventing falls, and if there is a fall, sort of knowing what to do about that. So Gary has given me lots of great information, which I'm going to share with you this morning. So we wanted to start with, talking about, first of all, it's really important in the winter to plan ahead. This is one time, and I know a lot of people are saying, I don't even want to turn on the news anymore. Everything is so negative, and I get that. I share that sentiment a lot. However, it is really important to pay attention to weather forecasts. So you really need to know, when are we getting snow? When are we getting ice? I mean, Pete just shared an hour ago the fact that it looks like Friday morning is going to be an ice into snow event as we go from rain and the temperature drops, and then it turns into sleet and freezing rain, and then it turns into snow on top of that. Not a great idea to be heading out in that kind of weather. So pay attention to the forecast. I think that's really important. The other thing is, when you're paying attention to the forecast, and this is particularly true with, icy areas and slippery areas, be flexible in when you go out to run your errands or do your tasks. I know that a lot of us are creatures of habit. I hear this from the seniors all the time. I go to Stop and Shop. I go to Big Y every Wednesday morning at 8:15. Okay, generally that's fine, but pay attention to the forecast. If the forecast is that it's 15 degrees at 8:15 on Wednesday morning, which is when you usually go out, and we've got snow and ice on the ground, but then it's going to go up to 38 or 39 or 40, and the sun's going to come out, and we're going to see some really good melting, then, you're probably going to want to wait and go out later in the day when it's a little bit safer to do so, when those front steps that you won't be sliding down, especially if I know when the sun hits my driveway. I know when the sun hits my front steps during the day. So pay attention to all of that, and you really want to plan ahead, because, being so stubborn to say, nope, I always go at this time every week or every other week or whatever it is, build in a little flexibility. Okay, so now let's talk about actually going outside and trying to prevent slips and falls, particularly on the ice. First of all, pay attention to what you're wearing on your feet. Dr. Gorman would recommend, something that's rubber on the bottom. So whether it's a rubber boot, for heaven's sakes, don't wear high heels. So even if you are going to some place where you need to be dressed up, wear your boots and change when you get there. Bring a little shoe bag. You can do that. So primarily rubber-bottomed footwear. And I asked him a lot about body mechanics, because I know that Dr. Gorman, the one thing that I remember him saying when he's done this presentation before is keep your steps short so that you're not taking long strides. Keep your strides short. You basically want to keep your feet kind of underneath your body. But Gary was telling me last night, and he actually got up and demonstrated for me. And so, again, I took copious notes. He said the best way to walk, when you're walking on surfaces that could be a little bit slippery, he said, try to, if you can, bend your knees slightly, and you kind of want to lean forward just a little bit so that your knees are kind of over your toes, if possible, so that if you find yourself starting to lose your balance, you're going to go forward. And of course, when you're going forward, you can put your hands down. If you do fall, you're going to break that fall. But it's also a little bit easier to regain your balance if you're kind of leaning forward. Just stop for a minute and then just kind of catch your balance before you keep going.
It's hard to roll over if you're on your butt.
Right. But the other problem, Pete, as Gary said, is if you're standing straight, straight up, you're walking, and you hit a patch of ice, and your feet, what's going to happen is your feet are going to go flying out in front of you, and you're going down backwards. If you're lucky, you'll land on your butt. If you're not as lucky, you're going to land and you're going to hit your head in the back of your head. I had that experience. I was years ago. And that's going to bring me to the next piece of what I want to make sure that I cover here. I was heading to work when I was teaching at Springfield College. I had my bag with my books and my notes and everything. I had my purse. I had my lunch bag. So I had both hands were full. And we had a back deck, and it was just a wooden deck. And there was this just a film, just this glaze, just enough. And I had to go down 2 steps off the deck, and then that got me to the brick sidewalk that we had. We had a detached garage in order to get out to the garage. Well, I hit that top step, and my feet went out from under me, and I flew off the steps, landed on my butt, my back, my side. I thought I broke every bone in my body. And of course, the bags went flying, and my hands were full. So I couldn't even break my fall that way. I couldn't even grab onto a stair railing. So, And again, the other thing too that I did not do, which I should have, and you should do as well, when you go out in the morning, now I do this. You can either take your hand, take your foot, just feel the sidewalk. Sometimes, as Gary said, sometimes if it looks wet, just assume that it's ice. Yeah. If it's in the wintertime, even if it's the middle of the day, if it looks wet, test it out first. Just put a toe out and kind of slide it around while you're on steady ground. I actually open up my front door now, and I'm hanging onto the door, and I just put my hand or a foot down, and I'll say, up, okay, fine, or up, nope, this is all ice. But you can't really tell, so just assume that it is. So make sure again that you have a free hand. In case you have to grab onto something. If you have a railing, of course, hang on to the railing. Again, planning in advance. Sand, use sand, use some salt. If that's what DPW does. What do you think they do with with the city parking lots when we know there's a weather event coming, whether it's snow, whether it's ice or sleet? They bring the salt trucks through ahead of time, so everything is pre-salted. And we do the same thing on our sidewalks at the senior center, and you can do the same thing at your house. You can get a bucket of sand, you can get a bag of salt, at Home Depot or Rockies or any of your hardware stores. Just have that. In a place that's covered, whether it's, inside your front porch or whatever. And if you know that we're getting bad weather, sprinkle that down before you go out. Gary said probably one of the hardest things is when you're walking down a slope and you've either got, icy spots or slippery spots or snowy spots. Because when you're walking down a slope, even when you're walking with your, kind of bent, as he suggested, bent at the knees a little bit and leaning forward, he said, going downhill, it's easier to go uphill, believe it or not, with the snow and ice, but it's easy to lose control going downhill. So I said to Gary, okay, so when would people be doing that? And we both agree that it's probably, if you have a driveway and your house is up, more on a hill, it's probably that you're going down to get your mail, or you're walking down the driveway to get, your newspaper in the morning. So, or take your trash cans down. So our advice is don't. Try to get, if you've got younger neighbors, if you've got kids in your neighborhood, Gary takes the trash cans down. We have neighbors that are in their 80s. They are our next door neighbors, and they do have it's not a hill, but it's just a slight incline down their driveway.
That'll be enough.
And that's all it takes, right, Pete? That's all it takes. So Gary goes down there every Thursday. He'll take, Norm's trash cans down for him. Another neighbor will bring his newspaper up for him because he's an early riser. He's often out walking in the morning. He'll take the paper up and just kind of put it, near the driveway. Mm-hmm. So, don't be afraid to ask your neighbors, especially if you've got younger neighbors, just to help you out, just during the winters and just on those days when it's, when there's some snow and ice on the driveway. The other thing too is, I know because I've worked with older adults for, 40 years, and most of them like to be as independent as possible. And I totally understand that. I feel the same way. But, during these winter months, whether it's extreme cold or whether it's ice or whether it's snow, if your children or your grandchildren offer to do your grocery shopping for you, run to the pharmacy for you. And normally, especially if it's someone who drives, they'll say, no, I can do that. But you know what? Think twice, folks, because this might be the time when you say, you know what? That would be really helpful if you could do my grocery shopping for me, because I'm a little unsure of my footing. I've already had, and the whole reason we're doing this is I've already had seniors that have gone down and gotten really bruised up.
There's been some ice storms this year, yeah.
Yeah, and we have some folks that we have people that have broken bones. And I'll tell you right now, I have had 3 people this week call for medical equipment because they broke their ankle out on the ice and the snow. So please, take advantage of your children and your grandchildren offering to help you. It's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of being smart, because I can tell you if it's, is it worth a broken hip to go out and do your own, pick up your own milk and bread? Probably not. It's probably a good idea to ask your children for some help. So I asked Dr. Gorman, in the case of someone who does all the right things, is as careful as possible, but still has a fall, what do they do? What are some of the recommendations? And he was saying, I said, ice or heat, Garen? He said, always ice for inflammation. So if you do fall, and your ankle swells or your leg or your wrist or whatever.
Means there's more blood flow to the area,
yeah.
And by applying heat, you apply even more blood flow to the area.
Exactly. And so what you're trying to do is you want to bring the swelling down. So you're going to apply ice, even though it's the winter, and that's probably the last thing you want to do, but that is what's going to help.
Yep.
Now, as Gary pointed out, please don't, especially for older people, because of you've got a lot of skin sensitivities. Your skin becomes thinner as you age. So you don't want to put the ice directly on your skin. So you want to make sure that you can, if you take an ice pack or if you take like a frozen vegetable pack, that's kind of makes a soft ice pack, but wrap it in a towel. And I brought a prop. So my mother-in-law, we have these frozen ice packs. My mother-in-law, when she was alive, made these out of dish towels. And so what it is, it's a packet that it's just like a little envelope and it fits the ice pack in it. And then she's got Velcro here. And so then you just put the ice pack in and then you just Velcro it on top. And that way, you can put it on your ankle, your shoulder, your elbow, your wrist, or whatever. So, for those of you who sew and you're looking for a little project, this is really easy to do. Just you can get soft ice packs in the pharmacy. We gave a bunch of them out a few years ago when we had one of our holiday galas. But this is just something like this is really nice. You just put it right in there. We use these all the time, and they're washable. You just use them a bunch of times and throw them in the washing machine. So please make sure that you're not putting ice directly on your skin. As Gary pointed out, if when you fall you hit your head, you need to assume that there's a possibility of a concussion. Yeah. So you absolutely need to have that checked out medically. And also Gary said, even if you fall and you're bruised up, you're banged up, you're sore, but you don't think you broke anything. He said, if the pain does not subside within a few days, then absolutely seek medical attention. He said, when in doubt, check it out because, but especially folks, if it's any kind of a head injury, I have seen that. I can't tell you how many times I've seen that with my older adults. They'll fall, and if there's no blood, it's, well, I have a headache. Well, yeah, I banged my head. It's like, oh my goodness. There are a lot of concussion protocols, and we're learning more and more about concussions. So we don't mess around with that stuff. So please be smart about that. So, hopefully. I did Gary justice on covering some of this information for you. Again, pay attention to forecasts. If you know that we're going to get snow, ice, sleet, whatever, don't go out. Whatever it is, it's not worth it. And if you have friends or family that either offer to help, please take them up on their offer. But also reach out to people. Don't be afraid to call somebody and say, I'm really nervous about going out, but I need to get my prescription. Can you, could you stop by on your way home from work or, something like that. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Okay. All right. It is 7:48. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM. Radio for the Westfield Masses and WCPC Cable Channel 15. So because our friend over in Pennsylvania saw his shadow, we are going to have more winter. So we're going to listen to Simon and Garfunkel singing Hazy Shade of Winter. We'll be back.
So hard to please, but look around, leaves are brown, and the sky is a hazy shade of winter. Hear the Salvation Army band down by the riverside. It's bound to be a better ride than what you got planned. Carry your cup in your hand and look around you. Leaves are brown now. And the sky is a hazy shade of winter. Hang on to your hopes, my friend. That's an easy thing to say, but if your hopes should pass away, simply pretend that you can build them again. Look around, the grass is high, the fields are ripe. It's the springtime of my life. Seasons change with the scenery, weaving time in a tapestry. Won't you stop and remember me at any convenient time? Funny how my memory skips while looking over manuscripts of unpublished rhyme. Drinking my vodka and lime. I look around, leaves are brown now, and the sky is a hazy shade of winter. Look around, leaves are brown, there's a patch of snow on the ground. Look around, leaves are brown, there's a patch of snow on the ground. Look around, leaves are brown, there's a patch of snow on the ground.
Underwriting for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Westfield, serving the youth of the Whip City and surrounding communities since 1969. For more information on the Great Futures Club for ages 3 to 5, happening weekdays, and the Club Teen Center for ages 11 and older, weekdays from 6:30 till 8 p.m., go online at bcgwestfield.org or visit the club at 28 West Silver Street. The Boys and Girls Club of Greater Westfield. Great futures start here.
Support for community radio on WSKB is provided by Betts Plumbing and Heating Supply Company, an independent, family-owned wholesaler serving Westfield for over 50 years, specializing in plumbing, heating, and industrial piping supplies. On the web at bettsplumbing.com or at 14 Coleman Avenue in Westfield.
I'm Mark Auerbach. Join me every Friday at 8 a.m. for ArtsBeat, where you'll meet interesting actors, directors, designers, and musicians here in Western New England.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 7:52. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield Masses and WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and I am in the studio this morning with the chairman of the board, producer Pete Coles. Good morning again, Pete.
Good morning.
I feel like we've covered a lot of ground in 2 hours.
Yes,
I'm
we're all over the
wide
place.
awake now. Yeah, we are all over the place. We've done groundhog stuff. We've done safety stuff. We've done birthdays and music. And you know what? It's time for, Pete. You know, remember all last month we were selling tickets. The Friends group, Friends of the
Yes.
Westfield Senior Center, was selling tickets for our raffle calendar. So I am here to tell you that yesterday's winner, because yesterday was February 1st, and that was one of the big prizes. It was a 4-pack ticket Thunderbird for the Thunderbird hockey team.
Mm-hmm.
So it was 4-pack ticket for that, and the winner was Carol Drissel.
Nice.
So what's really funny, and Carol is a regular at the Senior Center, but it was so funny because what I do now is on my lunch cart, I have a flyer, and it announces today's winner. And so when people drive up to put their money in my bucket and to get their lunch, they can see who won. So people were coming up, and there were a couple people that came, and I wasn't quite sure who they were. You know, most of them are regulars, so we know the names, and we just give them their lunch. So I said to this one person, I said, "Okay, I just need your last name." And he looks at the sign and he goes, "Oh, my last name is Drissel." It was a guy. He goes, "My last name is Drissel. My first name is Carol, and I won that Thunder Pack ticket thing." So we were having some fun with it. So that was yesterday's winner, and I will announce today's winner, which nobody knows yet because the Senior Center is not open, but it's posted inside the Senior Center. Today's winner is Sharon Dominic. She won a $25 gift card to Big Y. And Sharon used to be a regular at the beginning of COVID coming for curbside meals, but she's also a school bus driver. And so when the kids went back to school, we don't get to see her too often. So but she's a sweetheart, and I am absolutely thrilled that she's today's winner. That was $25 to Big Y. So stay tuned, and each day we'll be drawing another name and another winner, and we We will be posted. We have a little sign at the greeter's desk at the Senior Center, today's winner and the name and what they won. And of course, it's on my lunch cart as well. Again, reminder that the February newsletter is out. So the new menu is out. Thank you to Michael Ballway from the Westfield News, who I saw in today's paper, published our article. We're doing a Spread the Love turkey luncheon. That'll be our Valentine's Day comfort food special, folks. We're actually going to do that luncheon on the 16th, so it'll be a couple days after Valentine's Day, just because Wednesdays tend to be a real popular day. So we will be taking advanced registrations for that beginning this Friday at 10 o'clock. You can call the Senior Center. And you can sign up for as many as 4 meals, but we need the names and phone numbers for each of the people that you're signing up for. So it'll be our, Joanne Boucher and George Sfakios, our kitchen crew, will be doing, turkey, gravy, mashed potatoes, cornbread dressing, the works. Let's see, what else do we have here? Yep, doing cornbread stuffing, vegetable, cranberry sauce, and a Spread the Love special dessert. So you can start signing up for that on Friday. Let's see, what else do we have going? Oh, so Pete, you had mentioned before the text to 911. So the Westfield Council on Aging Presents series is Tuesday afternoons at 2:45, and this month Harry Rock interviewed Nina Bars, who is dispatch administrator for the Westfield Public Safety Department, and Nina talked about the new texting it's text to 911, so that you can actually, instead of calling 911, you can text. So she talked a little bit about that, but I think that she also covered with Harry just what it's like from the dispatch and the first responder vantage point.
Yeah.
So when a 911 call comes in, what's happening on their end? Because I think if you understand what dispatch is doing and the information they're trying to get from you and the information they're trying to impart to the first responders who are on their way to the scene, then I think you'll have a better idea of, how all this works. And I have to tell you, of course, working at the Senior Center, we're not unfamiliar with having to dial 911 periodically. And I've learned over the years, the information that I kind of need to have at my fingertips that's really helpful for dispatch to be relaying to the first responders. So we kind of have our own system now at the Senior Center on somebody being kind of at the scene wherever the event is happening. Usually it's a medical event, whether it's in the great room or whether it's in the fitness room. So we kind of have somebody over there, we have somebody on the phone, and then we have a way of kind of communicating back and forth. I will tell you this too, though, folks, the easiest way for us to communicate information to dispatch, if you have a file of life, which if you don't, you can get one from us. There are actually 2 file of life, the large one that you put on your refrigerator and the small one that you keep on your person. So either in your purse or in your wallet, in your pocket. And honestly, the easiest thing for us is if there's a situation at the Senior Center, whether it's in the park. We've had situations during Brown Bag in the parking lot. We've had situations, throughout the building, upstairs in the games room. I mean, you name it. We've had, either people who, fell or people who just didn't feel well, and we were concerned. I had one woman who was taking a fitness class, became non-responsive. Turned out she needed a pacemaker and had one put in that afternoon. But if I can pull out a file of life, then I have every single thing that dispatch is asking me right at my fingertips.
Sure, yeah.
So if you need a file of life, we have them at the Senior Center. We've got them at the greeter's desk. Please feel free to ask us. All right, my time is up. It is 7:59. You are listening to WSKB 89.5 FM, radio for the Westfield masses, and WCPC cable channel 15. I see Joe Rouse walking in. His guest is already here. So stay tuned for The Joe Show, and I will be back next week. Take care.
In the bleak midwinter, frosty wind made moan. Earth stood hard as
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Westfield Bank. For more than 160 years, Westfield Bank has been an important community presence and commercial